So let's get back into this. So I guess part one was me kind of giving you the catch up of what's been going on for like maybe, I think it's been about a year of this person who's slowly been getting belligerent and rude and disrespectful and inappropriate to now taking her very first steps towards all out witch war. And, anyways, so I was, energetically attacked. They summons their demon, this like mouth thing that had lots of teeth and all this energy and whatever. So I'm really proud of them for actually being able to summon something. I mean, when whatever they were doing kicked in, it was instant and I felt it. But I was also in their territory. I was at the rock shop that both of them work at. Um, so they were supported in that magical space that they've erected to deal with trouble because people need a story. They need a victim story and they need it to justify how they see reality, not how it is. So in their world, magic, and they need to take out the trash, and in their world, that's how things run and operate, and they're the heroes of their victim story, and they don't realize they're actually the bullies. They're also highly polarized. You know, men are bad, and then anyone else. But men are bad. Very generalized, whatever. Anyways, so I leave the store and find out I have like a little, like, I call them like a whammy. But you can basically call it a kick me sticker or a probe, a beacon that will attract negative experiences. And that usually happens with a hex. Someone. So what's really interesting is I don't like to get in magical wars because I learn what how to do it. I learn what it feels like. So in the experience of being attacked by a low level demon, then I understand what that feels like. I'm like, oh. And so this is what it feels like to be kind of separated into two different dimensions, or this is what it feels like to have that go on. So now it's like, oh, this is what it feels like to be hexed by a low level witch, and have a kick me sticker put on me. Uh, all fun and games. So when you're too highly polarized and you have a lot of ego into it, you might feel offended. Oh, how dare they do that? Now I must teach them and be justice here. Or that's not fair. I feel violated. I feel, a breach. I should have never had that happen. How, or maybe they're really powerful. Like, you could go through all that crap. I didn't really do that. That's not really part of my personality. Instead, I went to this other space. I'm like, you know what? After I've like opened up my heart chakra and I've had so many cool experiences exploring the universe, I'm like, I don't know if I have the energy. Like, I'm not afraid. I'm not angry. How can I retaliate if I'm not angry? I'm like, can I even do a shield? It's like, when's the last time I've ever really needed to shield myself? I mean, shit happens, and I always carry a crystal in my pocket, and uh, I love to use essential oils on my feet every morning. I usually do sage essential oil on my feet for grounding and for cleansing, but then also for just if my energy is grounded and cleansed, then I feel like it's working. And I've noticed through trial and error that if I keep a crystal in my pocket, I'm kind of like psychically shielded. My aura is a little bit stronger, and then usually things just don't stick. So I was like, and I don't, so I was surprised that they are able to do anything. And I was like, whoa, if I didn't have anything on, it might have been a little bit more lethal. Uh, Working with the public, people don't realize what you say creates. So we're a very unconscious culture with our words, but we also don't realize what we think and feel. And when we put them together, it basically creates a spell. And it might be momentary in the moment or it might be long term. But I'm I'm like, but so obviously, I went to work and was experiencing, people out in the world are being rude and whatever, and I got to work and I'm like, I had like a yellow sticky pad and I like drew this basically. I'm like, well, for me, the 5 pointed star basically just means power. That's it. It just means power. So if I'm drawing the star, it means, okay, I'm going to work with power and use power. And then I was thinking of the person J, and I'm like, I put it at the bottom of the star. I'm like, I put their name there. And then I'm like, all the energy I'm just gonna send back. Cause I don't wanna I've been around nasty people. They're good at being nasty. I'm not gonna lower myself or get dragged down. Cause it's so the first stage of like engagement, you can't have a fight unless you choose to participate. You can't receive a negative gift unless you choose to accept it. So on some level, I would just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time at the wrong hour, whatever. So I was like, okay, whatever, circumstantial. But now it's the next day. And so let's just karma's on my mind. I'm like, do I really want to come back to planet Earth? Do I really want to? So when people can't have a positive relationship with you, they choose a negative one. And the lower the chakras, I think the more magnetic and more visceral it is. It's like if I engage and entangle my energies, it's just going to make the connection stronger. That's the opposite of what I want. So I'm like, and so I did like kind of like a life evaluation. I'm like, if I wasn't dealing or thinking about and obsessing about this, could I be creating my new life? Could I be manifesting my boyfriend? Could I be more focused at work and maybe manifest, just have a better day in general? It's like I'm over the hill. Death is around the corner. Do I really want to be thinking about two people uh who don't care about me? Who do I really want to be putting my focus there? So I was like, lesson number one, what did I learn from this experience? Uh, Besides what all that feels like, I'm like, you've worked so hard to have a clean, open heart. You've worked so hard to give yourself a chance at a better situation. Do you really want to let your pride get in there? Because I want to, maybe scare him or do something like that. Or do you really want to risk hanging out with them in the afterlife or having to come back to Earth? Or, it's like, do you really want to form a close relationship with something outside of yourself? Or do you really need to do more inner work and build a more loving relationship with yourself on it? It's like, who are you? What are you about? Because your actions basically just affirm who you really are. Whether they're energetic / passive aggressive or they're fully active. So after that self review, so I didn't just like immediately attack per se, you know. Uh, but when I decided to do the spell, I waited until I was feeling better. somewhat better. I didn't know stuff was still going on. But I was like, just for an extra precautionary and just let's see what happens. Let's think about that person, recall the situation, those energies, and those vibes, put their initial there. Let's draw your star. And I did it upside down because everything is going towards the earth, everything is going towards my target. So everything you do and you work with symbols has to mean something, and it has to be in alignment with what's going on. What do I want? I want it all to go back to her. And I don't want to spend money. And I don't want to abuse earth. I don't want to use herbs, and I don't want to use a mirror, and I don't want to use a chant, and I don't want to use an altar, and I don't want to use a ritual. It's like, God damn it. You've been doing magic for how long? At least armchair reading about it. And you what was really good is I've done so much meditation that I usually don't have to like do anything. And so I was like, all right, let's do this and have it only cost you about 10 cents. 5 cents for the paper and 5 cents for the ink. So I'm just there. It's a slow day at work. It's been bizarre. Someone pulled a fire alarm. Someone yelled at me and told me to die. All sorts of weird. So I was like, okay, let's just be done with this, because put back on your crown, baby. You are the one who's connected, and this is actually your life. So let's just go for it. And so after I put that, so this is basically what I drew on my little notepad. I did that person's name, and I did the arrow, and then I decided to put a lightning bolt in the middle. That lightning bolt represented that energy that was hitting me, but it could also represent the power I'm using. It represented the magical energy, whatever it was, wherever it was coming from. That was the generator, or that was the experience of it. It was like an energetic energy attack on multiple levels. And I was like, it kind of felt electric, kind of felt stabby claw-like, just kind of weird. And so I was like, okay, that represents the energy that I want to go back to the target, And this is interesting. Anytime you do something magical towards someone, there are energy attachments, subtle. And so just by thinking about that person, you are activating, like you're plucking the strings on a harp. And at least for me, I can feel them, and I can feel that. And so I automatically dialed in. And as I was drawing, the pen felt like that whole experience, and the ink felt like that experience as I was drawing it in there. And then it's now stabilized into a form and bound. So it's locked in there. So that's the cool thing about symbols or drawing or doing your ritual. It helps you dial it in and lock it into this reality where I'm experiencing it. So basically, now she's stuck there. And I could feel her energy. I could feel her active energy, trying to get off the paper, but it's bound. So just by doing a symbol, you bind the energy. And so I was like, dang, that was easy. And then, I drew a circle around it because like that energy was all jumpy. I was like, well, let's bind it down. So I drew a circle around it, and I'm like, okay, this makes sense. So then I just really charged it, and I'm not like a good energy worker, and I don't have a lot of energy. I go, let's just kind of rub our hands together and charge and focus on the intention of gathering all her energy and shoving it back to her. Just give it back. So I thought about giving it back, giving it back, giving it back, like all directions, just pulling back to her. And then I was like an arrow from all directions, as above, so below, as within, so without, back to the source of it, like a point back to it. That made sense to me. So, and then after I did the circle, I still kind of felt like the energy was just kind of all over the place, even though it was kind of bound and centralized. I was like, let's square it off. Let's really mark the this space versus regular space. So I did that, and then I could feel around. I'm like, okay, this feels like normal reality. Now this feels weird in there, you know? Then I did little cross symbols outside the whole thing. Cross symbols meaning peace, meaning normal, neutral ground, possibly even positive energy, Christian themes, love, light, angels, whatever. I want. So it's like I've really separated the spaces. So the portal of activity is here. The action is here, you know, and any sloppy, messy stuff is still contained within a cube. And then normal reality is outside of it. So literally, like when I pass my hand through it, I can feel those 3 layers. And it was done. Now, do I burn this sigil? This type of sigil? No. I'm leaving it until the situation's taken care of. After it's all done, I might just tie a red ribbon around it and put it in my parents' attic forever, Or then maybe I'll burn it. But not until the complete thing is done, which is basically till that person is destroyed. Now, I was like, that was super effective. So when you do your magic, you have to be able to somehow get confirmation in the process of doing it. You're like, you should be able to feel, sense, know, understand the effectiveness of it. Like, this isn't religion. It doesn't require faith. It doesn't require belief. Like, the whole faith and belief should have happened years ago in your training. You're like in the knowing. You're like, I know, you know? And so what you want to know now is its effectiveness, and its effectiveness by feeling the energy, reading the energy on it. So what was really cool is it was so clear to me its effectiveness. I was confident with it. And so I got home and I was like, I'm gonna make a video on this. And then so I was drawing this, and as I was doing it, I was like, we might as well do it again. So I did it again. And this was still very effective. And then I liked that in this version, I was able to bind it down with the cube or square, and then bind it down into normal reality with some positive energy. So all this like personalized stuff of her stuff is there. And then it's sealed with a circle. A circle is unbreakable. So you shouldn't need layers of sealing and layers of extra protection and whatever. Like, it's done. If a circle is truly a circle, it's unbreakable. If a cube is truly a cube, or a square is truly a square, then it's sealed. Like, it's locked in there. So know your symbols. And I keep it very simple. Very, very simple, very straight to the point for effective, no sweat magic. So that was really effective. So after I did that first sticky note at work dealing with her, then I was like, you know what? The other person, the Scorpio, who who I kind of discounted. I was like, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, I know she's slimy, and I know she reminds me of my sister, and they all have that Cancerian energy that seems to be aggressive, takes everything personal, misunderstands everything, and loves to be a little bit annoying when they feel like no one's paying attention. So I'm I'm not gonna I'm just gonna hope that she wasn't involved. So layering this, because let's just go for the one you know for sure, and then once you've dealt with her, let's see how you feel. Once again, just check. So you don't need to do like card readings and candle burnings to check if your magic is effective if you're sensitive. So having my heart chakra opened up more, I'm even more sensitive to myself, my environment. Like my empathy's gone, or my sensitivity to things is even stronger. It's a blessing and a curse. I'm like, oh, I remember now why I shut down my heart is because there's just a lot of extra information I don't want to deal with. So, anyways, I was like, I kind of feel her energy, but I'm not too sure what it is. So, I did the exact same sigil for her. I thought about her. I didn't know her name, so I just used the Scorpio symbol, stuck it there. And then for the power, I used the Scorpio symbol again. Uh, because I saw through the corner of my eye when she attached to my friend, and that was like her personal cord. I was like, So, anyways, I didn't know all the details, but I did the exact same sigil and focused on her. And it wasn't like so mean, aggressive, and violent like Jay's, the Cancerian, who, and I think a lot of that energy was fear, but then it was also assisted by whatever conjuring of demon she used. That demon was pretty violent. Now it was posing as a goddess, but it was not. It looked like a giant sandworm thing. Like, like the old Star Wars, where they had that pit worm with all those teeth. It kind of looked like that. And that's pretty. I was proud of her, to be able to summons that. Where, but, obviously, I didn't have any defenses either. Like, I was like, who cares? Who are you? What is this? Anyways, so I did the symbol for her, and her little hex broke. It broke off. Everything started to return back to normal reality, and everything was fine. So then I was like, you know what I really want to do? Since the whole room was affected, and they felt like, because I was in their territory, I was in their magic circle that they put around the magic shop. I'm like, I think I would like to do a healing. So I then did another one. I drew the building's layout because I shopped there before either one of them ever worked there. So I had 15 years. So I pretty much know what every room looks like. I've been into the bathroom, I've seen into the back room, their healing room that they used to have. And I was there for the renovations. So I could just see it in my mind's eye. I did that. This time I did the sign of Leo above it and the sun in the center. And in the original one, as I made this one for us, I decided to add, because it's a crystal rock shop, I added the glyph of Taurus representing Earth. And then for the circle and the square and the black crosses, Capricorn. And today the moon is in Capricorn. And I have Saturn and Mars in Cancer, and both of the attackers, or the ones who were playing with dark magic, have Cancer energy, and the one with Scorpion energy. But for binding, Capricorn, and it's an earth sign. So I decided to work with some of those, and it worked out very well. So when I was at work, I just did the sign of Leo. And I was thinking Leo, pride, territory, taking no shit, and gold and sunlight and healing energy. And because I'm a fire sign, I thought use fire symbol and use the fixed one to rebalance the store. I was thinking about the owners. I go, what was the original intention for the store? It was healing, it was beauty, it was sharing nature. And so I felt all those energies, and then I focused on the Leo energy and let and I just rubbed my hands together and charged the sigil. And it got really active. Like, because I'm like, whose store is this? Who actually owns the property? Like, let's think about this. Not you two associates, you little peon retail people. Now you're manipulating the energy for your own benefit, not for the benefit of all. And you're not considering the benefit of the actual owners who probably put their heart and soul into this little shop. So I literally called on the owners for assistance and just everything, it's their heart, it's their pride, it's their expression. Did all that. It got way active, way crazy. I thought the paper was going to like jump off flying. But I bound it down with the black circle, did the Capricorn, and then I did the cube around it or a square till I felt normal space. This reality here, that reality there, like whatever was conjured and going on there. And like these were like electric. And I was like, once again, very effective. And I'm like, do I burn this one? And I'm like, no. You save it because it's still very active. Those intentions are bound down to the image. So it's something I'm not done with. Like, so it's it's in process. So, but they were both so effective. And I literally like couldn't even touch the paper because they were so like staticky with the energies. And so it's like, once again, usually psychic attacks, personal attacks on you, friends, family, loved ones, and personal spaces don't really happen unless you know the person. And I have a little bit of that Aquarius streak in me. I'm like, I love being friends with everyone. I believe in we can all get along. I grew up in a large family with large extended family. So in my mind, I just naturally assume everyone is friends and family, you know, until proven otherwise. And then once I'm proved otherwise, I like kind of like cut you off, shut the door, and just treat you professional. This Cancerian didn't understand when that wall came down, and I'm like, I didn't say you've exhibited signs of mental, emotional instability. So, and just complete rude. So I'm now just going to go into professional mode. So I will talk more professional to you and treat you more professional. And you kind of, it might feel cold on your end, but that's what's going on. You're unsafe. So when I don't feel safe, I just move into professional mode, distance myself. And so, anyways, but you also have to know, like, so they don't know what I'm capable of. I don't know what they're capable of. Like this whole time, she was saying she didn't do magic. She was name dropping Kali, but she's the one possessed. you know, with delusional images and whatever's going on. And she's the one under attack, and she's the one always playing victim. Yet she's a major I call it a story spinner. Stories are powerful. We learn and we create reality with stories. They're thoughts and images woven together into a storyline of believability then we convince ourselves of what's real and what's not real. And so, spinning stories, conjuring with words is what she does. But she's a victim of that. Unfortunately, I got wrapped up in that, which is usually how it goes. You become the new target, you become the new bad guy, then she becomes the new victim. Then she has her lackey, the Scorpio, gonna assist and protect her. And both of them believe in magic, both of them believe in witchcraft, both of them believe the men are the bad guys because before we were enemies, they told me all that in so many ways. And so we have a history record. Anyone with a little bit of memory can start putting things together. And so they lost and will continue to lose and now become the joke of everything because they were underestimating their opponent, who's still their friend. They don't understand someone being neutral. I'm neutral. I can swing to light or dark, but it's my choice because I have neutrality. I can like you one day, then not like you, then like you again. You know, I can have a judgment, but then it's not like a real judgment. Like my identity isn't caught up in that. As a Kabbalist, as a middle pillar worker, I'm neutral in the matter. I can do black magic, I can do white magic. I get a choice. Those two do not get a choice. Uh, I can use reason and logic. I can use emotions. I can use lower emotions. I can use fear. I can use hatred. Or I can use kindness, compassion, understanding, forgiveness. I can do all kinds of things, but I can also use my mind. I can use my brain. So I don't get my identity wrapped up into it and get polarized. I'm not taking it personal. So I can go like a week later and go, oh yeah, that was really crazy stuff you guys did. So should we go get coffee now? Like it's easy to forgive when you don't take things personal. Water signs take things personal. I actually have a Pisces moon and my Venus is in Pisces. And my ruling planet is actually in Cancer. But I have other things going on in my chart. And I've also worked really hard. Um, and even my intuition in the morning on a whole nother level was trying to help me understand about not taking things personal. And it was actually through, and you kind of have to be detached, but you really can't get detached until you're neutral. Looks like this video is running out, so we'll wrap it up. I hope you liked it. Hope I gave you some tips on making your own sigils